the gentlelady from North Carolina, Ms. Ellmers, for 5 minutes for questions.
Ms. Roth, I have going back to the medical device tax, I have a question for you. You know, the administration and other supporters argue that there will be a, quote, windfall from the increase from newly insured patients as a result of ACA, and the tax will be offset. Based on your analysis, do you believe that there will be a windfall for medical device companies, or will the tax hurt device startups, capital investment, and job creation?
So I think that it will hurt medical device companies because quite a lot of their products are exported overseas, and they also have foreign plants, so they would probably shift the production of the exports into their foreign plants. And also, I don't really see as much of a decline in the uninsured as Dr. Bloomberg and others seem to think. Because with the Supreme Court decision, it was legal to pay a tax of $95 in 2014, about $350 in 2015, about $690 in 2016, and then you don't have to buy insurance. Well, CBO says the cost of a premium for a family of 4 is $20,000. For a single person, it's about $12,000. A lot of people are just going to pay the tax, which is legal according to the Supreme Court, and then go uninsured. They will then continue to get their care from community health centers or emergency rooms, and then when they get sick, then they can sign up for insurance. Because right now, if you're sick, you can't sign up for insurance. You have to be because of the pre-existing conditions.
Right.
Be insured already, but under the new law, anyone can sign up at any time.
At any
so
time.
It's completely rational to stay uninsured until you're sick.
Sure.
And then the pool of insured is going to get sicker and sicker, and the price is going to go up. Every time the price goes up, it'll be more worthwhile for someone to pay the tax instead of getting insured.
Versus the insurance.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Thank you to the entire panel. This is very helpful. Dr. Bloomberg, I do have some questions for you. You know, you had just mentioned that the study shows that, you know, putting patients on Medicaid, that is actually a much better situation. And I actually have a study that is completely the opposite. In 2010, University of Virginia released a landmark study on patients who have had surgery, and it is in stark contrast to what the testimony you just gave. And I would ask the chairman if we would be able to submit that study for the purposes of this subcommittee.
Without objection, so ordered.
Great, thank you. And I won't get into the details of it, but basically it's startling to know that if you're on Medicaid, you actually have a 13% higher chance of dying than if you are uninsured, according to this study, and actually double the amount versus someone who is insured. So it's an interesting thing, and also the cost of health care actually increases because if you're on Medicaid, your health care stay in the hospital would actually be 42% longer than if you had insurance. So that being said, you had given your testimony about your study, and I'd like to submit mine. But I also, you know, to this point about anecdotal discussions that are being had by employers, you know, I have these discussions with my constituents every day, and they are so concerned about the cost of doing business and the ability to provide jobs in the future as a result of the Affordable Care Act. I have one particular constituent, Mr. Gerald Kivett, who, you know, he produces church furniture the old-fashioned way. And his business, it's been a family-owned business for over 55 years. 5 years ago, he had 150 to 200 employees. He is now down to 46 employees, and that is as a result of the economy. That obviously is not a result of Obamacare. But let's look at the facts. You know, the issue of, you know, adding employees. The economy is going to turn around at some point, and he is going to want to hire employees. How can he go beyond that 49th employee? And that's his question. If he were here today, he would ask you directly. You know, he's asked me, how can I, you know, afford this when my bottom line already is in the negative? So if Mr. Kivett were here today, how would you describe to him what you've been saying, which is that the Affordable Care Act is actually going to help small businesses?
I would like to respond to that. I'd also like to mention that it's not true that an individual can buy insurance coverage at any time regardless of their health status, because there are open enrollment periods in the Affordable Care Act, so people can only buy at certain times of the year. Otherwise, they will not be able to enroll. In addition, with regard to the Virginia study, there's been a great deal of experimental research done by with economists at Harvard University who have looked specifically at experimental data from the implementation of public coverage in Oregon, and shown that in a very short period of time there was actually very positive health status effects for those that were randomly enrolled in the expansion of public coverage there relative to those who are remaining uninsured. So I just want to say that the analysis that you're referring to I haven't seen specifically, but it is inconsistent with all of the other economic research and health that I've seen on that topic.
We'll make sure that you get that study
That would
as
be
well.
great.
Thank you. And to, again, if I were Mr. Kivett, what would you say as far as, how is this going to help him to be able to provide health care continue to provide health care for his employees?
Well, right now it's going to save him a considerable amount of money potentially, and help his workers obtain health insurance coverage even if he doesn't offer coverage today. If he does offer, he's going to have new opportunities to offer coverage in the insurance exchange if he wants to. Otherwise, he can continue to offer coverage outside the exchange as he may or may not do today, depending upon his situation. If he doesn't offer and his workers would like to obtain coverage, don't get it through a spouse, they can then go into the non-group exchange. There's no penalty assessed on him. They can get financial support if they need it to buy coverage. So those
Gentlelady's
are
time has expired.
significant advantages.
Chair